Hello and welcome to the show. Now, last time up, the snowy mountain, a classic BMW, would go to the top of the table, and very convincingly, in fact, to the top of the table. So, today, it is time for the Mercedes answer, as the 300 SEL will have its turn. Now, this was a Forza Horizon reward car. I suspect the Forza Horizon is probably over by now. I'm quite liking, actually, having these sort of extra cars as reward. Very simple to get. You get them in a couple of minutes most of the time. It's quite a nice way of giving new cars out. And if you've managed to miss out on the days where they are around, I believe you can go just buy them on the auction house. They'll probably be a bit expensive, but you can go and find them on there. So, yeah, the classic giant Mercedes is going to have a try up the course. Now, these cars were rallied. I think they were rallied and raced. So, I mean, there's some potential for the huge Mercedes to be quite good at this sort of thing. I'm hoping we're going to have plenty of PI to play around with. I would imagine we probably would in this vehicle. We are going to have to put all-wheel drive, of course. The car is very heavy to begin with, which is a little bit of a concern of mine. It's a massively heavy car to start with. What have we got? Oh, we have proper rally light. Really annoyingly, we can't have rally lights and have the splitter. That's a shame. Quite like that you can have the rally lights covered. Or this is quite cool. Unfortunately, we need the downforce. I've proved it on Horizon 3 that you want downforce. Even on a course like this, you want downforce. You want the extra grip. It will go faster. That's odd. It's £3 heavier to have the little boot latches and remove the entire chrome bumper than it. That doesn't. We've had the helium lights that make cars magically lighter, and now we have the. I don't know. We're not having it anyway if it's heavier. It's not going on our car. We are going to want some snow tyres. Let's go and have a look with. That's a lot of. It's jumped the PI up. I mean, it's into A class, I guess. The snow tyres do tend to add. Tyres in general add huge PI on this game. We do have decent sized tyres. That's 275s at the front and 275s at the rear. Yeah, I mean, it's bigger than we had on the BMW, bigger than we had on the Volvo as well, which is decent. Although that will also mean that we have got higher PI. Because, yeah, tyre widths also increase the PI by quite a large amount. Brakes is a big car. We want the brakes. It's a very big car, so we are going to want the stopping power. We are also going to be wanting the anti-roll bars and the full-on roll cage. Weight reduction, I'm not sure what I'm going to want to do with. I do want to get the car down, because, I mean, even £3,500, that's heavy on this course. Very heavy, in fact, for a car going up this course. Maybe even at the transit's heavier. So we do want some weight reduction, but equally I want a lot of power because, well, we're going to need it. Even at £3,500, you know, we're going to need an awful lot of power if we're going to stand a chance. You know, let's think the BMW was, what, £2,500 and had 800 horsepower. So in power to weight ratio terms, we're pretty stuffed with this car, in all honesty. Let's go have a look at engine. Let's go and have a look at engine. What can we do? So, our option, 6.2 litre V8, the 5.2 litre V10. We can get the full V12. This has got more PI than I was expecting from these engines. I was not quite expecting... Well, I was expecting to be able to get a lot of power in this car, but it doesn't look like that's quite... It's going to be powerful, of course, but it doesn't look like it's quite going to be as powerful as expected. I think we're going to go with the 6.2 litre V8. It is the lightest engine of the lot. It's got more torque than the V10, and there's more room in terms of upgrades. So if we go for the V8, now, we can go for twin turbos, or we can go for the supercharger. Now, last time out, the supercharger did as well. And it would be rude to ignore that information, so we're going to go supercharger again on this car. Also, speaking of engines, the V8 that we've gone for is a Mercedes engine, so in keeping with the car. Right, can we get 1,000 horsepower in the Mercedes? Well, we can, yes. Will we get it within the PI and then be able to still get some weight out of the car? That's the bigger question here. We might. We might be able to. I don't want to run the car at £4,000, really, but it looks like it's going to be the choice. We either go for 1,000 horsepower, or we go for a little bit lighter with slightly less horsepower. Well, that's kind of a little bit of a pain, in all honesty. I would have liked it to be a bit lighter. However, It is what it is. 994 horsepower. Come on, we can get that 1,000. There we go, 1,002. 1,002 horsepower in our Mercedes, but it's heavy. Now, we might, fingers crossed, be able to get a little bit of weight. Okay, we can... bugger. We can't get it under 3,000. I would really like to be able to take out... So, the jump between those two is quite high. I want to sit somewhere in the middle. I don't really want to go... I don't think I can... I can't add on 2 PI. Okay, let's... I really want to get the car down to that weight. But nothing I have available to me is actually going to add on PI. All of these, I'm not going to change the PI. In fact, that does actually add 1 PI on. Ah, crap. That's really annoying. That's really, really annoying. I don't think there's much I can do here. I mean, we can get the car... In fact, like, this horsepower is not really making a huge difference to the PI anymore. Because, yeah, to get it down... Oh, what do we do here? What do we do in all of this? Yeah, because that's like 47 horsepower out and only doing 1 PI. Admittedly, it is making the car slightly lighter. You know, I think we're going to... say we're going to forget weight reduction. The problem is, we're then going to be left with PI that we can't really make up. So, we're going to go with the power. It might not quite work out. This might be quite boaty. I think that is going to be the word to describe this Mercedes. It's going to be quite boaty. However... we are going to be powerful, so there's that. Whoopsie, I didn't mean to press. Again, my brain working quicker than than controls can. To be fair, the Transit was kind of similarly spec'd in many ways, and that still went very quick. So there is potential for this to be a surprisingly fast boat up our mountain. So our ultimate rally barge is... well, just about ready for the Devil's Corners hill climb. I'm going to get 3 runs up this course in an attempt to go faster than that mighty BMW 507. A 1:55.9 is our new target time, and that is absurdly fast. Absurdly, ridiculously fast up this course. In all honesty, my expectations for this Mercedes, I don't quite know, because the only thing that's gone in this series that is even vaguely similar to this in terms of kind of build is the Transit, and that was in a low 59. So if we can get into the 58s with this, I think we'd probably be doing quite well. Having said that, the brutal power might work. It might actually work out quite well in this car. We will have to wait and see. It's all going to come down to the cornering. Do we have big enough tyres to give us grip through these turns with all of the weight that we have going on? Actually feels pretty good so far. It doesn't feel like a terrible boat, which I was not expecting. I was not expecting at all from the from the Mercedes, but there we go. Of course, with this much power, we are still going to be accelerating pretty quickly. As I said, power-to-weight ratio isn't going to be the greatest that we have seen. Come on, get the front end turn around the corner. Now, as we run towards this next station, this is one of the longest straights that we will come to on the track. Yeah, you see, it doesn't get accelerated as quick as we saw from the likes of the BMW. That was doing about 120 something down there. It's doing 110 as it left this jump. The Mercedes is only at 100 miles an hour. So we don't have the outright acceleration, and I doubt we're going to have, well, simply the quarter speed in the car, because there's so much mass that has got to get changed direction. It does not feel like a £4,000 car. To give it credit where credit is due, this does not at all feel like a £4,000 car. It is surprisingly agile up this course. Will we flat out? Yeah, we can. We can be flat out through there in an incredibly large and heavy Mercedes. So there is a lot of grip going on in this vehicle, which is mighty impressive. We are going to be 98 miles an hour across that jump. And the plus point of all this weight is we do not get bounced around on the landing of jumps at all. It just doesn't happen. Which is, again, very, very nice indeed. Run towards the finish line. It is not massively quick, though. Not massively quick at all, in fact. A low 2 minutes for its first run. Maybe my 58 was a little bit ambitious. I'll be honest, maybe that was a little bit ambitious. Surprisingly nice to drive, though. Was not expecting that at all. Well, perhaps our Mercedes rival is going to be that Transit. They have fairly similar powers in, I think, fairly similar ways. I can't remember how much the Transit weighed by the time I had finished building it. But yeah, we want to be getting under 2 minutes really up this course, and I do think it'll be possible in this Mercedes. A little bit more bravery from me. In fact, I think you can take more corner speed with this car than I was really expecting. It is really not that bad at all in terms of getting to... Certainly no... I mean, we've had all sorts of different types of vehicle run up this course, from the tiniest of track cars to, well, this giant barge of a Mercedes. And, you know, a lot of cars, in fact, everything has struggled a bit with understeer through some of these snowy corners. And the Mercedes is, if anything, a little bit more lively than a lot of the cars that have got it. Feels like it has some really good turning. We're not wasting time spinning the wheels up manically as we go to put the power down. I think that is helped to an extent by the weight. There's just so much weight on the wheels, essentially, that is probably helping a little bit in terms of traction, but it isn't helping with outright acceleration. It won't be helping with the likes of braking too much. Although, again, you know, the brakes don't feel that bad on the car, although we are running a little bit wide there. I think it's just acceleration where we are kind of hurting a bit on this course. Come on, Mercedes. And it's weird to say that when you have 1,000 horsepower available, but we are just not getting out of the corners quite quick enough. And I think if I'd gone the other way with the builds, we would probably still have had the same problems. We'd be lighter, but we'd be a lot less powerful. So, yeah, it seems like the Mercedes is a little bit unfortunate within the PI system as we round off the icy straight. It's lovely and controlled in Mercedes. It is not a difficult car at all to drive up this mountain, which is an odd thing. I wasn't expecting to say that so much about this giant car. Around the final turn we go. Will we go sub 2 minute? Yep, we're going to do it. 59.6, I think, on that run. Well, 0.3 of a second is what we need to beat a Transit. An unusual rival for a 300 SEL. However, that is our rival nonetheless. So it is Barge versus Van for our final run in the Mercedes. Yeah, odd things are said on FailRace. It's just a thing that happens, and odd vehicles are raced against one another. I'm quite liking this Mercedes, in all honesty, in a weird kind of a way. It feels surprisingly quick, in fact. I think just because it's relatively well balanced, and yeah, it doesn't feel like a horrendously heavy boat. It does feel surprisingly fast, in fact, perhaps deceptively fast in some ways. But yeah, actual speed up the course is a little bit lacking. I've got to try and find some time. Now, we have found sort of big chunks of time on our final runs in the past. If we can sort of string everything together, be a little bit braver. For example, chuck the car flat out into that corner and find some grip through there. In fact, I found a lot of grip through there that I wasn't quite expecting. That's always nice to manage. We just can't accelerate fast enough down these straights. There's just too much car to be accelerated down here. As we go for the jump, we are just 100 miles an hour. Yeah, the BMW 10 miles an hour faster on that relatively short acceleration zone, let's not forget. 10 miles an hour faster across that jump. That is a sizable amount, and that is why BMW is at the top of the table. And this sadly isn't going to go there. It might go better. I think we are doing a little bit better on the final run. And I have to say, it is handling this little section here, it is handling it really well. It's very nice to drive through there. We have grip, we have composure. And this is one of those cars that, you know, I am comfortable to drive very hard. It doesn't feel like it's going to try and murder me at any point around this lap, which is always something you look for in a car. Something that feels like it's not going to murder you, unless you want to buy a TVR, in which case then you buy a car because you want a car that might try and murder you at any point in time. Yeah, this is a really quite nice, easy car to drive quick. We have found some time. We're into the 58s. I wasn't that far off of my initial guess. That was a good run. I'm pleased with that run. It was nice and smooth, and there was some bravery. Just throw the car in. For a £4,000 car, that has got some serious grip about it. A 1:58.6 is the time for our Barge. It will go into 12th place. Goes quicker than the Tamo race mode, loses out by a fraction to the Datsun 510 and the Toyota A86. It beats the Delta S4, the Aston Martin Vantage V600, beats the Transit in the end by 0.6 of a second, the Fiat 131 and the Volvo V60. Yeah, that's an odd car. an odd car, in all honesty. I went quite crazy in terms of power. You know, for a £4,000 vehicle, that really does drive very well. It's incredibly forgiving and incredibly fast through some of the corners where you don't expect it to be. I mean, the vehicles that it's around in the table, the Datsun and the Toyota, had, what do they have, sort of 700-800 horsepower in a car that weighs probably half the weight of this Mercedes. So they've got the Mercedes on acceleration by miles, really. The Mercedes does claw it back a bit with its cornering grip. And that's an odd thing to say about an incredibly heavy car, but yeah, it works. Works surprisingly well. In the end, though, it's not going to go towards the top of the table. While, yes, it can, maintain some decent corner speed, it's not as fast through the turns as the likes of the BMW and the Volvo, and then it lacks the brutal acceleration of those two. So in the end, yeah, I think the Mercedes is never quite going to get the power-to-weight ratio. Whether you go for the 1,000 horsepower version that I have here, or whether you go for a lighter but less powerful car, just the way that it tends to work out in the PI system, not quite. Not quite for this sort of thing, but nevertheless a surprisingly good car to drive. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.